Hi everyone, welcome to the Money Wisdom Podcast. My name is Chris and I'm the CEO of Providend. Today we are very happy to be inviting our long-time client, Mr. Richard Hong, to join us for this podcast. Richard has been a client with us for I think almost 20 years. I think he has been a client with us since 2007, so that makes it about 17, 18 years. And so we are very happy to have him to share his journey with Providend. Before I go into the questions that I have prepared for Richard, let me just quickly introduce Richard. Richard is the CEO of ASEAN for TÜV SÜD Singapore. Now, I'm sure many of us may not have heard of this company, but for the old fogies, the seniors like ourselves, we would have heard of this company called CISA. Yeah, but today it is known as TÜV SÜD. And TÜV SÜD, if we do not know, is a global leader in the field of testing, inspection, and certification. And they are renowned for quality, integrity, and technical excellence. So, Richard, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. As I was saying, not many people like to appear on camera, but we are very grateful, right? Not just because you have been our very strong supporter, not just because you have been with us for almost 20 years, but we are very grateful that you agreed to join us for this Money Wisdom podcast. So, first up, maybe, let us know. I mean, we had this conversation just before the podcast, but how did you actually find us?
Yeah, actually, this is an interesting question. To be honest, I didn't look for you or you guys initially. And it was, if I remember, 17 years ago, back in 2007, it was through a cold call from one of your colleagues who somehow managed to reach out to me.
Right.
So I think it's a matter of fate that we are together, bringing us together.
Right.
Also luck.
Right.
And she made an appointment to see me. And of course, many times we receive a lot of these calls, cold calls, and most of the time I reject the call. And especially with due respect for all the insurance agent out there, most of the time they are trying to sell certain product. But I remember in the call she did explain that Providend is different. It's not an insurance company. We're not here to sell you products. We try to understand, how we can support me in our wealth planning journey. So I agreed to meet up, and that's where the story started, right? So I remember I met up with one of your colleagues who is our deputy CEO now, Evelyn,
right,
face to face in my office. Right. I remember,
right.
And I think we built a very good. It was like 1 to 1.5 hours kind of conversation. I think she came across as very sincere and trustworthy. I think that is very important, and also we have good rapport with each other.
Right.
I asked many questions, obviously, and she's able to, confidently, answer all my queries. So
thanks.
that's where it started.
Yeah, thanks so much. Initially, when we were having this conversation before the recording, when Richard said that we cold called him, I was like, no, but we don't do cold call at all. And then, of course, after we talked a bit, I realized that, yes, we did. When we first started Providend more than 20 years ago, we did do calls. At the time, we didn't have a brand, so we really relied on one of our colleagues whose primary duties was to call people, right?
I see.
And then obviously she sent Evelyn, and it's great. It's great that you found us suitable, and now you have been with our clients for so long.
Yes.
Now, initially, when I know you didn't look for us, right? We were the ones that looked for you. But if you were to look for an advisor, or if you had started at a time looking for an advisor, what do you think would be some of the main pain points that you will struggle with in the looking for an advisor?
I think the biggest pain points is first to find a very independent and trustworthy advisor. To me, that is very important. That's my number one priorities. And why did I say that? It's because I think it's also by nature, the kind of services you just introduced our company as TÜV SÜD. Like Providend, TÜV SÜD provide very independent, conflicts-free kind of services to all our customers as a second or third party service provider. And we all want to always provide the best and most reliable, trustworthy services to all our customers. Of course, we are B2B kind of business. So with this kind of background and training, it actually also reflects on me as a person when I look for external service provider, I also put this as a high priority. Yeah.
What affects trust? I mean, you said that it's important to look for someone that you can trust. I mean, sincerity, yes, right? But what affects trust in our industry, in your opinion?
I think trust first is the service provider must have my interest, number one.
Okay.
Not in their interest.
Okay, so it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, the conflict of interest is very strongly ingrained in me because my professional life, I want to provide conflict of interest to all my customers
That's
out
right,
there.
that's right. Yeah, because your certification, right?
Your certification, so we cannot be in conflicts in our customers' business model.
Right.
So on this part of financial advising, I think first the service provider or advisor must have my interest at heart.
Right.
Everything they advise me to do, they must, advise me from my perspective and not,
Right.
from their perspective. In this aspect, over the years, before I met Providend, there are many insurance companies selling, agents selling all kinds of products. And somehow you have a feeling that, they are selling products, again, with full respect to the agent.
Right.
Of course, I know they have commission to earn all those things.
Right.
But they must understand me first before pushing the product to me. I think that is very important.
Yeah, I think we are not saying that the advisors out there or the agents out there are all unscrupulous. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
I think what we are saying is that as long as there is commissions involved, there is always a potential conflict of interest.
Yes.
Even if they do the right thing, as a client, you may not know, right? Because there is a commission at play over here.
Yes.
Right. So I'm hearing you that one of the important things that you are looking for in an advisor is that there must not be potential conflict of interest that will instill trust in you. And of course, I think it's not just a conflict of interest. I suppose competence is a very important thing. Right? Because you can be conflict free, but you cannot do the job. You cannot do the job.
Yeah, competency is a given. I mean, when you go and see a lawyer, you go and see a doctor, you expect a minimum competency there. But you also want to look for value-add service side.
Right, yeah. Okay, good point. Yeah, good point. When you said that competence should also be, or is expected. It's a hygiene factor.
It's a hygiene factor, yeah.
So the next question I have for you is that when you first saw us through Evelyn, did you already know your priority at that point? Do you already know what you wanted to plan for? What are the things that you should put as priority? Were you already very clear at that point in time?
Actually, to be honest, I didn't really think a lot on that topic. Those days, I'm still in the late 30s, right? Back 17 years ago. And you are in your career, you're trying to, perform well in my career.
Your kids were still young.
Yeah, the kids is still young. You try to raise a family. And there are many balls that you need to juggle, right? And you need to make sure that you progress well. So, and retirement at that time is quite far away.
That must be in your 30s.
Yeah, late 30s, 37, 38.
Yeah.
And you're climbing the corporate ladder. So then you have a lot of obligations, financial obligations to manage. So retirement is a bit far. But I remember through the conversations, through the questions that Evelyn asked me, I think is very insightful. Some of these questions, because we're busy day-to-day basis, we don't even ask ourselves. So I think it's a good time to pause and take a step back and reflect on some of the questions she asked.
Right.
And led me to think, okay, what do I want in life? What goals do we want to achieve when we want to retire? And how do I get there? I think that's very important. So after understanding all this, then I think Evelyn tried to then, explain to me where I am now. She asked questions. So sometimes this question we also
hard to
ask
answer.
ourselves, where are all my assets, liability, and net worth? Where am I today? And where I want to go in future, 10, 15 years later. That started all the conversation.
I see. Okay. So basically, through Evelyn, through the conversation that you had better clarity on where you were then at that point in time and where you want to be.
Yes.
And of course, Evelyn then subsequently put in place a plan for you.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to engage us after that conversation?
Well, I then realized that Providend is very different from other service providers. In fact, that's the first time I hear about an independent financial advisor, which is conflict-free and competent as well, what you say, and trustworthy. So I found that that business model is very interesting, and because they look after my interests rather than their interests, I then put and then I think the most important thing is that I'm an engineer by training. So as an engineer, you have a problem, you want to look for a solution. You know there's a cause, there's an effect. You need to plan, but you also know you need to take action. So the part I like about Providend solution is that not just giving me a plan, of course, together discuss with me, but put into a plan that can be implemented. To me, that is important because a plan without action is just a dreams, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, at that time, you paid us a fee to do the work. And at that time, even till today, nobody charges a fee for advice, right? Did you tell anyone that you pay a fee, and did anybody say, "Oh, you're crazy, you know, Richard, why do you pay a fee?" And at the time, you were already charging a few $1,000s, right? So did anyone tell you must be mad, man? You know, there are a lot of places where you can get free advice. Why did you pay people a few $1,000s to get? Did you experience it?
Well, I didn't ask for opinion for anyone because sometimes people have entitled their own opinions, and sometimes I try to filter away some of all these noises, you know, and try to evaluate myself, you know, analyze it, make a judgment on that. But of course, I discussed with my family, and fortunately, my family, especially my wife, fully support this approach.
Wow.
And I'm a person that if I feel there is a value in the service, then I should pay, right? There's always a price to pay in everything. It's a matter of whether you see the value in it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, if something is not of value, even if it's $1, it's expensive, lah.
In fact, nothing is for free, right? Even the insurance agent trying to sell you some product, because you know
something.
that it's a fee, there's a commission to be paid, right?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they have to earn something.
They have to earn something. It's okay with that,
yeah.
But then this is a different business model, and you feel that the fees you pay justify the value, right?
Right. Subsequently, Evelyn didn't continue to be your advisor. Because she moved up to management. I mean, she's now my deputy CEO, right? And you were then handed over to Chee Kian. Were there any concern at all at that time that your advisor has changed?
No, I think it's Tony first. Tony in 2007.
Right. Wow, I forgot Tony.
Tony,
it was Tony.
Tony, serviced me and supported me. Although it's a short period, I think it's 2007, 2009. But I remember it was a good chemistry rapport at Evelyn. We worked very together. He also asked me a lot of questions and helped me, to do the financial planning. And then in 2009, of course, Chee Kian, the next advisor, took over, who has been supporting me for all these years until this year, lah.
So you had from Evelyn, and then Tony, and then Chee Kian. So you had 3 changes in terms of the advisor. How did it feel? Did you feel, I mean, of course, different people have different chemistry. You have a different relationship with different advisors because that's just human being, right? The dynamics will be different. But how about the work? Did you feel that you need to redo everything again because this advisor is doing something different, use different tools and all that?
No, I think it's very smooth transition. I don't feel even any issues at all. Of course, it's a different personality, a different person I talk to. But the fact that I talk about trust, I keep talking about trust, is that I trust both the people in the company and also both the company and the management themselves. Because people come and go in a company, just like I'm managing my own company as well. We fully understand that. But I think it's the company reputation, the branding, and the process that the company put in, which is very important as well. Of course, people play a good part. If you get good employees, of course,
that helps.
It helps a lot. But we know that employees move along, and the company also need to move along. And with that, the company have to make sure their service is always of the highest competency and highest reliability. That to me is very important. Now
it's a bit difficult to answer this question, but I'm going to ask, because I don't know whether you still remember, how was that process like in the handing over? Right, because these things happened like almost 20 years ago already.
Yeah.
How was that process like in the handing over? I mean, did Evelyn bring Tony along and then introduce Tony, you know, and then the transfer of files and all. Did you remember how that whole process was like?
Yes. The most important thing is that I think the handing over from one of your colleagues to another was very smooth, I would say. Obviously, they brief each other, right? And I don't have to repeat, you know,
Everything we have said
everything to them again. Then they carry on the conversation with me, which to me is very important. They understand me, both myself, my family, and my financial situation, and my goals and plan.
Right.
So these are the things that I really appreciate because I don't have to repeat again.
Right.
But because it has been good 17 years, so things change a lot in my own journey also, right? And my family life also. So they also keep very consistent in contact. In fact, we met about 1 to 2 times a year.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes more if there's a situation require it. And then we adjust the plan along the way.
Okay.
Our popular Retire Well ebook has been updated. Retire Well is a methodology that Providend has developed to design a retirement income plan that will provide you with a safe and reliable stream of income for the rest of your life. Check out the link in the show notes below to download a complimentary copy of the full ebook today. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode.
Did you feel that between the three of them, Evelyn, Tony, and Chee Kian, right, between the three of them, did you feel that they were telling you different things in terms of how we invest your money? Okay, because we always tell our listeners and we always tell our clients, even our prospective clients, that Providend's process is institutionalized.
Yes.
Which means to say that everyone in the company uses the same approach. We use the same investment methodology. Our investments are centrally managed.
Yes.
Even the assumptions that we use in writing the wealth plans are the same. Everyone use the same tools.
Yeah.
That's what we tell people, right? But as a client, did you feel that that was the case, that everyone was using the same thing? You didn't have, say, for example, Evelyn telling you that that's how we invest, and then a Tony that comes and tell you totally different things, you know, and then a Chee Kian that suddenly surprises you with, says, ILP, you know, which we don't believe in. Yeah, did you feel that at all?
No, I totally didn't feel that at all because I also watched a lot of your webinars and podcasts and your seminars. So I understand the methodology that Providend utilize. So it has to be evidence-based, right? There must be economic reasons for using certain instruments. And one thing I like is the holistic approach, you know. You don't just look at me in one aspect of my life. You look at the whole holistic, the risks in my life. So you have risk planning coming in. The investment that I need to put in so that I can achieve my goals, you know, and make sure that I have enough emergency fund, make sure I fully diversify and build out a robust and reliable plan. These are the common principles that I think Providend still holds till today. So based on these understandings, I feel that all three of them, you know, stick to this principle very strictly. And there is not even a single concern from me that everyone would deviate from that.
Okay.
And that give me a lot of, what I say, peace of mind. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So you have obviously grown, not just in your career.
Yeah.
Things have changed, like you mentioned, in your lives. I mean, your children have all grown up.
Yeah.
And obviously when we first saw you, you were an engineer.
Yes.
But now you have rose up the ranks and you are CEO ASEAN of a German MNC.
Yes.
A company worldwide which has about 30,000 employees, and you're telling me under your control it's about 1,000 people in ASEAN. So you've done very well in your career. As well as family, right? Family is very happy. I know that you have a very closely knitted family. And we were just walking here just now to the studio, right? And we're saying that sometimes people are very successful in their career and they earn a lot of money, but they are not necessarily happy at home. But you have done very well both in terms of career and family life. How do you see us contributing, or what's the value that we have brought to you and your family in terms of the finance side? What value did you get from us?
Well, I would say that initially when I was young as an engineer, I was like everyone else trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to do well. But when I started the journey in Providend, there are some questions that trigger some reflection on my part. For example, when you set your financial goals to achieve a certain number of years, then you ask yourself how much and what is enough. Do you go for the maximum returns? But then we always know in life there is trade-off, right?
Yes.
And I always believe there is trade-off. There is a price to pay for everything, and that allowed me to then try to reflect what are my priorities in my life. I definitely cannot have everything in life, and I shouldn't have everything. But what are the most important priorities to me, and the rest are lower priorities. So with this clarity in my mind, I then decided that there are certain things that I should emphasize a lot more, like spending time with the family. And I tell myself, in the end, I think Providend give me this insight that you have to be balanced. Like I always like to joke with my friend that I don't want to score an A in my career and score an F in my family life, right?
That's very wise.
I'm very fully blessed and grateful to my company for giving me a lot of opportunities along the way to perform well. I put in a lot of effort, and they value it and they treasure it, and they somehow give me a lot of opportunities. But at the same time, I also tell myself that I need to also focus on family life. And through this journey, if I can balance both career, family, and even my own personal health, which is also important.
I know you're a great practitioner of Qigong.
Yes.
And you introduced me to Qigong
and I
as
exercise
well.
quite regularly, Qigong, all those things. So to me, three things I share a lot with my colleagues. If you can do these three things well in life, you probably progress quite okay, which is your physical health, your mental health, and your financial health. These are the three pillars you have to do well and balance it. You don't want to do well in one pillar at the expense of another pillar. For example, if you do well in your financial health, but at the expense of your own physical health or mental health, there's something that we need to watch out. So with this balanced kind of lifestyle and with the advice from Providend, I made a conscious decision to walk this journey.
So you're obviously at the pinnacle of your career. I wouldn't say peak because nowadays, I mean, we're about the same age. Nowadays, they say 50 is the new 40. But you're already at the pinnacle of your career. What's next for you?
Well, I will be slowing down, probably taking on a different role in the company. I will still continue working. I have no intention to fully retire. I think it's good to keep ourselves physically and mentally active. That's number one. I will probably spend more time in some of my priorities in life, which is continue to take care of my health and take care of my families. And maybe do some of the things I always like to do. And that I very interested in personal finance. That's why I took on the CFP journey, Certified Financial Planner.
Richard is our most educated and certified client because we can't bluff you because you are you've started a CFA journey. You are yes, but you are a certified financial planner. You are a CFP, but you actually have done your CFA exams. Not all, but
Level
at least
one,
you started your exam, and so you are very, very well trained financially. We can't smoke you, right? I asked you that question on what's next for your journey. It's really in support of what you have just said just now, because for some people who are in not even late 50s, right, in the 50s, early mid 50s, as CEO ASEAN, some people will be so hungry that they want to continue to climb the corporate ladder, right? Move into Asia, and because this is a stage whereby actually your children, they don't need you so much physically as compared to 20, 30 years ago. Right? Some people will say, now I have more time to even climb the corporate ladder, and I want to maybe CEO global. When I'm 60 years old, when I'm 65 years old. But you didn't take that route. You decided that you want to slow down and you want to you want to play a different role. Yes, you want to continue to work to be mentally stimulated, but you really have balance because you feel that enough is enough.
Correct.
Financially, you have enough. And we are very grateful that we were able to partner you since 17 years ago. You are ready financially to slow down, and you make that conscious decision to pursue something that is even more important than the title behind your name and more money and higher salary, but to really do things that you want to do and to spend time with your family, especially your wife. Right now, that is we are like at the stage where we are empty nest, right?
Yeah.
You and your wife can go back into courtship days like when you were in your 20s. Yeah, so I just wanted to affirm you for that. So now you are again in that process of changing a new CA, a new client advisor.
Yes.
Because Chiken, our client advisor, our senior client advisor, he has retired. How does that feel? And how has that process been so far? It's your fourth client advisor with Providend already.
Actually, when I first heard that Chicken is retiring,
and he's our age.
Then I was sharing this news with my family. I said, even my advisor retired earlier than you. Which it must prove something that the model is working. Whatever advice that he given to me, he applied obviously on himself.
Yes.
And I'm also very happy for him, to be able to do what he liked. And then he informed me that Qingyi has has taken over, and then we have a good lunch together, just to understand each other. And obviously he has briefed a lot to him also. So that transition was also very smooth.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, I don't have to again, repeat what I need to say to him. Yeah.
Yeah, Chinyu should be able to serve you, and maybe me, because we're about the same age. And when I retire, they probably serve me for quite a long time, because they are much younger. They're in their mid-30s, right?
Mid-30s, yeah.
So they have got a good 20 years to serve us.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that the process has been smooth. It's not always the case that we have our clients changing 4 client advisors.
Yes.
But you're quite unique because you had Evelyn.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tony. But Tony stayed with us for a short while. Then you had Chicken. Chicken stayed with us for quite a long time. But I'm actually very glad to hear that the process has been smooth. Because sometimes, as CEOs, right, we think a lot of things are happening at the top.
Yeah.
But on the ground, we don't know what the clients are feeling. So it's very good to hear from the clients that the process has so far been smooth.
Which is very important, because you, as the founder and CEO, you also want the business have continuity, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want a case where because of change of client advisor employees, your business is being affected, your customer, do not stay with you because of change of certain individual.
Yeah.
So ensuring continuity, business continuity, and make sure that every of your employees understand the values of the company.
Yeah.
And continue to serve your client, especially client who have been with you for many years. I think it's very important.
Yeah, that's extremely important for me, especially as I share openly that we are in the phase of planning for succession.
Okay.
It's only responsible for me to do that because I'm 54. We can't stay forever.
Yes, correct.
Right, and a succession will happen anytime in the next 10 years, right? So, we don't want to, we learn from the Singapore model that we want a very smooth succession, and to have a very smooth succession, we need to start early.
Yes.
And to make sure that whatever values that the founders have, they are inculcated in our second, our third, our fourth generation, so that we can build an enduring company. I just have one final question for you.
Sure.
You have been with us for a large part of the Providence journey. 17 years is a long time for us, right? Because the company is 23 years. We only had the license to practice in 2003 after the September 11th crisis. So actually you were with us just 4 years after we started.
Yes.
You have gone through various crises with us. You have gone through several market cycles with us, including the global financial crisis in 2008.
That's right.
Right? You have gone through the pandemic with us. You have gone through 2008, the market crisis, or 2018. So you have gone through various cycles with us. What do you look forward now in your next phase of your journey with Providend?
Well, also entering in my next phase of my life, same as Providend, I definitely want to continue this relationship, and it's important not just for me, also for my family. I will continue, to build my net worth as per the advice and plan that I put in together with Providend. And I think that's very important to build my legacy and pass on to my family, right? So I'm happy to hear that Providend is planning for their next leaders or generation of leaders to take over, which means that it's even important for us, for me and my family, because we want to really continue this journey through the next few generations. Yeah. And then that will, through the wonderful effect of compounding effect, that will continue to build the net worth, right?
That's right.
And make your financial even more stronger. And that I actually rely and depends a lot on Providend and all its employees.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Richard. Well, in the very near future, both of us is going to come to Providend very differently. We're going to both come back as clients. I'm going to be a fellow client like you, and I'm no longer helming Providend. But I just want to say a big thank you, really. Thank you so much for being with us all these years, journeying with us through the various crises and various market cycle. But like I said, at the same time, thank you so much for your willingness to join us for this podcast, to share with everybody how your journey with us has been like as a Providend client. So thank you.
Actually, I always believe in life is two ways. You want to be a giver, and you are a taker most of the time, but you also want to give, right? So my relationship with Providend is like, I was sure to thank you all, and especially when Evelyn first met up with me to start this journey. I won't know or cannot imagine what would happen if I didn't have that conversation. It could be very different, my financial journey. So from this perspective, I thank you, for supporting me, not just me and my entire family, and able to achieve my financial goals, at this part of my life.
Yeah, thank you.
Which is, to me, very important.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you very much. And I thank the big man above for the divine appointment that we had 17 years ago.
Right.
We don't do cold calls. In fact, now we don't do at all. And you normally won't pick up a cold call. You won't meet. But somehow by divine appointment, we met.
Yes.
And we have stuck with each other for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So thank you. So that's all for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation that I had with Richard. I hope that sort of gives you a glimpse of what is it like being a Providend client. So if you like our podcast, please subscribe to our podcast. Please share our podcast with your friends. And I hope you will enjoy it, and we look forward to having you at our next podcast. Thank you very much.
All analysis, views or opinions from interviews, recommendations and other information broadcasted, podcasted or published herein are provided for general information purposes only. Information expressed does not take into account any specific situation, particular needs or objectives, and should not be construed as specific advice or a recommendation. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal or tax professional before taking any action. Providend Limited does not accept any liability for any loss whatsoever arising from any use of the information broadcasted, or published herein. All contents and information contained herein may not be copied or reproduced in whole or in part by any means without prior written consent of Providend Limited.